The term 996 refers to a work schedule that many people in China know all too well. Working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. It's an intense grind that leaves little time for personal life, family, or even rest. The concept isn't new, but over the years, 996 has become a label for something much bigger, a symbol of the work culture in certain industries in China, particularly in tech and finance. The debate around 996 has only grown louder as more stories emerge of stressed-out employees, health issues, and even tragic cases. In many ways, the 996 phenomenon raises deep questions about the balance between ambition and well-being, as well as the cost of economic growth on people's lives. To understand why 996 became so common, it helps to look back a few decades. In the late 20th century, China's rapid economic rise created enormous opportunities, particularly in cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. Companies were expanding at an unbelievable pace, and competition was fierce. The market became so cutthroat that survival often meant doing whatever it took to keep up. For many entrepreneurs and executives, this translated into working extremely long hours and expecting their employees to do the same. The message was clear. If you wanted to be part of a company's success story, you had to put in the hours. The tech industry in particular became notorious for these grueling hours. Companies like Alibaba, Huawei, and Tencent led the charge. They were giants in the making, and there was an unspoken, and sometimes very spoken, rule that if you wanted to work at these prestigious firms, you needed to embrace the 996 lifestyle. For young people eager to make a mark and secure a good future, the allure was strong. The narrative went something like this: work hard now, and the payoff will come later. But for many, later never really came. Instead, it led to burnout, health problems, and in some heartbreaking cases, even premature death. A classic story about 996 goes something like this. A young engineer starts at a tech company, excited about the potential for growth and the chance to work on cutting-edge projects. The first few months are thrilling. There's so much to learn, and the projects feel meaningful. But soon, the excitement wears thin. He starts to feel the strain of 12-hour days, and only one day off a week. Family gatherings are missed, friendships start to slip away, and he rarely has time to relax. When he tries to bring up the topic of burnout with his manager, the response is simple: everyone's doing it. That's how we succeed here. This isn't an isolated story. Many employees have similar experiences, feeling torn between their own well-being and the expectation to give everything to the job. And while some can push through for years, others find themselves struggling to keep up with the demands. The long hours often come with few breaks and a feeling of never really being off work. Even on weekends, there are sometimes expectations to be available if something comes up. Interestingly, though, the reaction to 996 isn't uniform across China. For some, particularly young people who grew up watching the rise of these tech giants, 996 is simply part of the deal. They see it as a necessary sacrifice for career success and the chance to make good money. In many cases, the high salaries in tech companies are an incentive, but there's also a cultural factor at play. For years, the idea of working hard has been deeply ingrained in Chinese society. There's an old saying that heaven rewards those who work hard, and for many, this idea still resonates. However, there is a growing resistance to this intense work culture. Social media has played a huge role in amplifying voices that question the necessity of 996. Platforms like Weibo and WeChat have become places where employees share stories of burnout, ridicule the long hours, and even share memes poking fun at their endless workdays. There's even a popular catchphrase, "I'm too old for 996, which many use to express their frustration. It's as if these workers are collectively saying, Enough is enough. Legal battles have also started to crop up. In 2019, a group of tech workers launched an online protest called 996.ICU to raise awareness of the issue, saying that working these hours without proper breaks was sending people straight to the ICU, intensive care unit. The movement gained international attention, sparking discussions about labor rights, not only in China but globally. Although the 996.ICU campaign didn't lead to immediate changes in the law, it raised awareness in a significant way. For some, the situation goes beyond just wanting fewer hours. It's about rethinking the very nature of work itself. Many employees are now asking, is this really the life we want? For some, the answer is no. The desire for a better work-life balance is becoming more common, and younger generations are beginning to prioritize their personal well-being over job prestige. They're also finding new ways to make a living. Some are starting their own businesses or freelancing, hoping to escape the rigid structure of traditional employment. One small business owner, a woman who used to work in finance, shares her story. She left her high-stress job and now runs a small cafe in a quiet neighborhood. She talks about how, in her old job, she barely had time to see her kids, and her health was suffering. Now, she earns less, but she says the quality of life is much higher. She has time for her family, and she's happier. Her story is one of many showing that there is life beyond 996, a life that might be less glamorous but is undeniably more balanced. Of course, not everyone has the luxury to make this change. For those who rely on steady incomes to support their families or pay off loans, leaving a 996 job can feel impossible. The system, in many ways, locks people into this lifestyle. Even for those who want to leave, the decision isn't easy. The high cost of living in big cities like Shanghai and Beijing means that high-paying jobs, often with 996 schedules, are one of the few ways to make ends meet. Yet, some companies are beginning to notice the backlash. In response, a few tech firms have started experimenting with more flexible hours or implementing 996 policies only during peak project times. It's a small step, but it might signal the beginning of a shift. There's even talk among some companies about a 997 work schedule, working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., but only 5 days a week. It's still far from a regular 40-hour work week, but it shows that there's an awareness of the issue. So, what's next for the 996 culture? The path forward isn't clear. Changing such an entrenched system will take time, and it's uncertain whether the pushback will lead to significant reform in the short term. However, the fact that conversations are happening at all is a sign of progress. Chinese society, like many around the world, is grappling with the balance between work and life, between ambition and health. In the end, the debate over 996 is about more than just work hours. It's about what kind of life people want to lead and what sacrifices they're willing to make. For some, 996 represents the thrill of being part of something big, a dream worth working hard for. For others, it's a reminder of the heavy cost of unrelenting ambition. Regardless, it's a debate that's not going away anytime soon. As China continues to evolve, so too will its relationship with work, perhaps bringing it closer to a balance where people can pursue their goals without losing themselves along the way.